Because I'm twisting on the beach.
You're twisting on the beach, huh?
On the beach.
Come on, let's twist again like we did last summer. Come on, let's twist again. You can suck this year. So, welcome everybody to Sounds Like Liberty episode 71 here on the Launchpad Media, where we are always launching ideas in your direction like a rocket.
Sure.
Cue that rockabilly music. There's no rockabilly music being cued.
No.
But Liz started dancing.
I did.
Because she heard cue and she just had to do something to make it right.
Well, no, I could hear the rockabilly music in my head.
Okay, well, what rockabilly music were you hearing?
I think it was honestly Brian Setzer's Jingle Bells. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts.
All right, because I was reading
it's
about
more
Christmassy
it's more
things.
big band music than rockabilly, but whatever.
I suppose that's fair.
At a certain point, there's a crossover there, right?
They blurred the lines a little bit.
Right on. Well, welcome. Got a fun episode this week where we are talking to Rando.
Yeah.
Mr. Rando College Kid. Mr. Rando Flugelhorn playing guy. He doesn't play the flugelhorn.
No.
He's not that I know of. But I like the word flugelhorn. So this is going to be a fun one. Don't go thinking it's going to be more of the same, because this is actually an interesting conversation, having someone who's kind of crossed a few different places and, isn't a luminary.
This is a very conversational conversation.
Yes, and I like conversational conversations.
Yes.
As always, I encourage you to go and check out the show notes at soundslike.liberty.com or ancapmusic.com.
Try to put in all the little links so you can try and figure out what we're talking about if you don't already know about what we're talking about.
Because we talk about stuff.
We do. And things.
If you want to help support the show, you want to throw us a little crypto, throw us a little fiat, want to get some bonus shows, we're getting ahead on our Married to Liberty, where I let Liz talk about stuff.
Yep.
And we're getting close to starting up the year-round tree
Yeah,
podcast.
so you can get your Christmas in there.
I'm promising 8 episodes.
Yep.
8 episodes of Christmas.
You can just binge listen to all that holiday cheer.
I mean, no, they can't, because it's going to be coming out weekly, but whatever.
Oh, I was talking about the older episodes that they can also access.
There are the old episodes, I suppose. There's that.
Because that's how I roll. I'll just start at the beginning and just listen through all of them. And then, when I get to the stuff that I have to wait for, then it's not so bad.
Our friend Pangy over at Homesteads and Homeschools does that.
Yeah, for sure.
He starts at the beginning.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I mean, some podcasts it's hard to do the whole thing, but the year-round tree one, you could legit binge the whole thing throughout the Christmas season.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got some fun ones we talked about. And we talk about some obscure Christmas movies too, which I think is important.
We do. We always try and throw a couple curveballs in there. At least a couple.
We got some weird ones coming up this year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
And we do TV shows too.
Yeah, for sure. Because sometimes that is part of your Christmas experience. At least it was for me when I was a kid.
So, go over to support SLL.com and show us some love. So I can afford to buy my kid Christmas presents.
There you go.
Because, I spend all that money on the podcast right now. Shit ain't cheap. It ain't cheap.
This is true.
Liz is like, I'm well aware, and I keep trying to come up with ways to save money, and you won't let me. You just pile it all away on this.
I just Santa. Hey Santa.
Hey Santa. Hey. Oh, so and also in other news, we've been diligently working hard on what is going to be our Christmas special.
Oh boy, are you in for a treat?
Yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff.
Yeah,
I've got some ideas. They're terrible. I'm going to lose my job over them, I imagine. But I mean, I want to lose my job anyways, I think, to a degree.
We're just excited about, getting the libertarian community, the liberty community together and getting to celebrate. So,
yeah.
We're gonna do that.
Oh, and if you haven't checked, last week was the first episode of I Heard This Happen as a YouTube show.
Yeah.
We did that.
That was a thing that happened.
I was promptly talking to my new friends in Malaysia, wherever it is.
Yeah, super cool band that we covered. And
was getting all those YouTube comments where people are saying she's really nice. Fuck that guy.
well, I mean,
So
it
they
is
get
YouTube.
to know what you already know.
They tend to be less tactful on YouTube, I'm told.
It's okay. So, well, we're gonna do what we do, which is I'm gonna stick a song right here.
Yep.
And after that song,
Yep.
you're gonna come back to an interview with Silas.
Yes. Enjoy.
Or don't. No skin off my ass.
I'm not going to tell you your business, okay?
But seriously, you should enjoy it. It's a fun conversation.
I am yours forever. I am yours forever.
Let's start out because this is going to be a different type of episode. You're not some big luminary in the libertarian world, right?
Yes, I'm most definitely not.
Okay. So you're not here to pimp a podcast. You're not here to tell us about your new book. You're just some guy who likes liberty and music.
Very much so.
Well,
And guts.
those are the people that I always really wanted to get on the show anyways. So,
Nice.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I come from a household of more or less so centrists, and I was raised very what's the word? In an unbiased fashion. I was really left to discover what my opinions were in politics. So I've gone through many different phases of conservatarianism, socialism, liberalism, all kinds of stuff. I've eventually kind of just gotten to this point where I'm just so absolutely fed up with government trying to tell me what I can and cannot do.
Okay. What has it really tried to tell you personally that you can or cannot do?
Well, I feel freedom of speech is becoming a larger and larger issue of what you can and cannot say as far as censorship, as well as the gun debate, which never seems to end.
You're a college student, so I mean, you see firsthand, I'm assuming, the freezing out of speech on campuses.
Yes, very much so.
What's that like? I went to college. Graduated college in 2006, so a long ass time ago. And I don't know that we felt it the same way that you guys do. I definitely was aware of what was coming, but I was always aware of kind of what was coming, so that doesn't say much. I was concerned about talking to women because I didn't want to offend them when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it is something that you can feel tangibly on campuses.
Yeah, it's very much so. I specifically feel I'm not safe in the sense that I don't feel like I can say things that I want to say because here on this campus specifically, this is a liberal arts college that is very, very left biased. And it's you if you don't conform to the unified method of thinking here, you can have some really scary stuff happen to you online and in person.
Interesting. I'm curious. Do you feel like you're quote unquote safe with the conservatives, or is it just kind of the ones that you're really, really worried about are the liberals or the left?
I certainly wouldn't say I identify with either group at all, but I definitely feel, at least on this campus, the left environment is a lot more hostile than the right is here.
Okay. Interesting. So now I'm curious, how in the world did you stumble across us?
I think what it was is I was, on my like anarcho Twitter account, and I was just kind of doing like a follow spree. And I just kind of suddenly stumbled upon your, I think it was your Twitter podcast or something like that.
I do talk about podcasts on Twitter a lot.
There you go.
Told you this. You can yell at me about Twitter all you want.
Well, no. I just said it's not a world I could live in because people tend to be a little more petty on Twitter. But I would not, argue that there's a place for it. You go right ahead.
I'm too petty. Am I too petty for Twitter?
You're not too petty for Twitter. I mean, good Lord, Michael Malice is like the king of petty. And he owns Twitter.
He does. He should get like a Twitter icon tattooed on him. He wouldn't do that though.
No, he probably wouldn't.
So you are a musician yourself. What do you tell us a little bit about your musical background? I'm curious, especially because I remember how the arts kids were when I was in college, and that seems like it'd be extra hard.
It's well, so I am a classically trained and more modernly trained at the same time French horn or classical French horn musician. I also play electric bass in the jazz band, and if I'm being honest, it's a little bit more my passion. But I've definitely got a thing for horn going here, and they don't have a jazz bass major, so I'm sticking with the horn for right now.
Nice. It just seems like such a different mix of instruments, like using completely different skill sets almost.
That sounds like somebody took the instrument that got them into band and then eventually found something that would get them laid. And that's the way I'm reading that.
Fair enough.
I'm imagining French horn doesn't really pull in the poon. I could be wrong though.
Definitely not from the woman crowd.
Okay. No, there is that.
Fair enough.
Now, if you're talking like old people who really love to go to concerts, that's a little bit more the French horn pay grade. Yeah,
he's got his pickings of them old biddies.
There you go.
I mean, if they got money, man, you do what you got to do. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not above like laying out a 90-year-old woman if she's got bread. Whatever.
I was thinking more just like give them like a nice private concert or something.
Oh, there
I'm
you
sure
go.
you were. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh no, I'm digging myself a grave.
I mean, to be honest,
it's hard not to do it.
I'll be honest. I pretend that I was going to need money to do it. I wasn't. So you're so I'm curious. I'm assuming as a French horn player, you probably spend more time with like orchestras and things of that nature.
Very much so, yeah.
That's like high arts community, and I can only imagine the high arts community is like right now. I don't even want to think about it, honestly.
It's very tumultuous. But I think the good thing is that a lot of these people, while they are very opinionated, also do recognize the fact that they're there for music, and it's not a political thing. So it's not too bad as long as you just don't
don't let anybody know who you are.
Yeah,
Fight
exactly.
everything about yourself and keep your head down.
Yeah.
That's your family motto, isn't it, Liz? Keep your head down, don't make waves.
Yeah, something like that. At least it was.
Well, I didn't say it's this family's motto. I said it's your family's motto. That's a different ordeal entirely.
Nice.
So, how did you get started in music for reals, though?
Well, so both of my parents actually also graduated from the music program here. So it was more or less a predestination kind of thing.
Interesting. I know as a teenager, I was going to do nothing that my parents did. Best I could.
Well, yeah, I was in that mindset for quite a while as well. But I just kind of got to the fact where I was like, hey, I'm really good at this. I'm going to do something with it.
Okay.
It's an intelligent approach at times.
Are your parents still in music, or is it just kind of like a phase that you all go through, and then if you get real jobs, go to the factory?
Yes and no. My mother is a music educator, and my dad went into software consulting. So I'll let you make the call on that one.
Nice. Well, I'm curious. Your parents were both musicians. What did they play, or what was their area of expertise back in the day?
My mother was a classically trained flautist, and my dad was a saxophone jack of all trades.
I mean, you play one, you play them all with the sax. That is one of the few instruments that they designed smart enough to, hey, let's just make it bigger and smaller as necessary. we don't need to go and change finger patterns for everything. So, yeah, that's awesome. I actually am a sax player, or was a sax player myself once upon a time. My youngest cousin currently plays my sax because it wasn't doing anything here.
There you go.
That's fair.
Who's got time?
See, there you go. Passing it on to your family.
I mean, I wish I'd have kept with it like longer, and that way, for me, I took a break for a couple years and like lost my chops. And at the time of life that happened in, it just wasn't worth continuing, sadly. But I could totally be making money as a sax player now if that were the case. I think there weren't a lot of options when I was like a young adult.
Yeah.
If I could have found bands and stuff to play in, but there just wasn't a whole lot of that in the sticks where I grew up.
Now, like every band has a sax player.
Yeah, I could totally do that now here, but I don't know how to play the sax anymore. So.
Yeah. Now, you said that you are a gigging musician, no?
I play fairly frequently, yes.
Yeah. Are you what do you play in those scenarios? Guitar now?
Guitar and vocals. Primarily, I'm a vocalist. Okay. Always have been.
Yeah.
I was in my senior year of high school. Bought a guitar prior to going to college. I'd never played it before that. I just figured I don't know if I'm going to be able to find people to play with, so I might as well learn how to play with myself.
That's cool.
Yeah. And after many years of not knowing what the hell I'm doing, I now still don't know what the hell I'm doing, but can do it at least at a level that I can go and make money doing the vocals thing. I'm a pretty shitty guitar player, but I can sing my ass off, so.
There you go.
Yeah, so it works out to be what it is.
Find a name. I will stand as a mountain, I will rage like a river, with a burning desire to consume like the flame, to know every moment in the weight of the ages, far above us descending in a million tons of rain.
So you go to school in Ohio? Are you an Ohio native yourself, or you just kind of your family gravitates towards that school for some inexplicable reason?
No, I'm born and raised in Central Ohio. So,
how do you feel about Ohio?
It's a real interesting state. The fact that it's a swing state always makes for an interesting election.
Mm.
Well, I mean, anymore, I think elections are all boring.
That's fair.
Some asshole who doesn't need power is going to get power, and I'm just going to be upset the entire time. That's how I think of these elections.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you think, Liz? Do you like the election times?
I mean, you can follow it if only for the seeing how the game is played. It's very different watching it now than it used to be for me, because I used to think, oh yeah, we're really making a difference here, and go out and vote people, and you can see all the people's actions being played out on the screen, and now I realize that it has nothing to do with that, but there is definitely a game being played. So if you're interested in that, you can watch.
I'll say I like just watching it for the comedic value, if nothing else.
Here you go.
Just to watch all the debates and see all the insane crap that people are saying.
I feel like it has gotten significantly more intense as far as that goes.
What I will say is, I would agree. I would have agreed with you prior to having a kid, because now I can't look at anything without going, God damn it! Why do we have a kid? She has to deal with all this dumb shit now. These people aren't getting any smarter; they're only getting dumber. Why did we do this to her? We're horrible people. And that's basically my every thought when I watch politics. I'm sitting there and I see Elizabeth Warren up there, and I'm like, please, God, no. Please, no. But is Trump any better? No. No, she's just fucked. We have the monkeys taking over the house. That's all it is. Everybody's throwing shit at each other. You know, we could totally go on and head out into outer space, but nope, we're just flinging shit. You laughed like I'm incorrect, Liz.
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing. I don't really have anything hopeful to say to that, so I'm just gonna let it sit there.
So you said you've taken the journey kind of all over through, you know, one political idea to another, and you kind of feel like you've kind of settled here. I'm curious, like, what kind of started your journey politically? Because I'll be the first to say, like, I think some of the first political books I ever read were Noam Chomsky. So I've kind of walked that line.
Well, it's funny you ask, because my political timeline correlates with girlfriends.
Okay.
That's the way to go.
So I had
date a socialist, be a socialist kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So who's the cool ANCAP girl you stumbled across?
Actually, that's the only one that wasn't a girlfriend.
Oh, you got a boyfriend. Okay. Who's just a cool gay ANCAP boy?
No, I've actually been dating a woman right now.
Eastern European.
We've been going for almost going for a whole year, and what was I going to say? She's a very a left liberal type person that's slowly been swinging towards the ANCAP section of the spectrum.
That's a hell of a swing. I'll say that.
It is a hell of a swing.
I might recommend the Liberty Hippie Network to help that transition out.
I'll give it a look. But yeah, anyways, so I started as a socialist girlfriend, and then we broke up, and then I swung a little bit of right to center.
Good Christian girl.
Yeah. I was angry, so I swung a little bit right.
Watched a little Ben Shapiro, you know, just dabbled. She talked a good liberty game, but didn't understand it.
Yep.
I'm terrible.
Right on the head. And so that relationship ended, and then I from there on I just kind of started heading further and further south, till I got down to here. So
nice.
The way he says south like that, I'm like, so do you think we're in hell? Is this a religion joke? Like,
listen, in today's political climate, there certainly might be hell.
There's that.
I'm not going if there is. That's all I know. There's a lot of people way worse than me out there. That's the one thing I can be sure of today. I feel like making the top 10% of that list isn't going to be too hard. What do you think, Liz?
Yeah,
you think I'm going to make the top 10% of that list?
I'm going to pass on that one. I don't know.
See, she was hoping that was her out, like that she was no longer going to have to deal with me after a certain point. And
no, that wasn't it.
Thanks a lot, honey.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not entirely sure I understood the analogy.
Whatever.
So,
look, didn't you ever watch the old Bugs Bunny cartoons when they talk about the Deep South? They always meant hell.
No. That's not a thing. I mean, I grew up in the South, so
it's a thing. You just don't know it's a thing.
Okay,
you weren't allowed
that's
to watch
fine.
Bugs Bunny.
Okay, fair enough.
Why weren't you allowed to watch Bugs Bunny, Liz?
Because I was busy watching.
Because he was
VeggieTales. I
cross-dressing,
don't know.
that's why.
Oh no, I don't know that was the thing.
So I'm kind of curious. Outside of politics and music, what is your thing? You a big video game player? You read a lot of books? I would imagine if you're kind of finding your way in the ANCAP world, that usually means reading a lot of books, but could be wrong.
I dabble in a little bit of book reading. I dabble in a little bit of video gaming, but my big thing is the outdoors.
Nice.
I really love to hike. There's lots of little nooks and crannies that I like to go around campus here that I'm not supposed to go. So
Those are the best places to go.
Pretty much.
Nice. So you're native to Ohio and you like hiking. Where's the best places that I should go hiking? Because I need to get my fat ass moving more.
Well, I did a overnight minimalist backpacking trip with my 3-day bag, and I went down to Wayne National Forest, which is like the southeasternmost corner of Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky. And they've got some really nice, like 10-mile, 20-mile trails where you can just kind of head out midday, sleep overnight, and then keep going the next morning.
See, he said
Nice.
hiking, Liz, but what I heard was stalking Thomas Massey. The minute I heard Kentucky, and then I knew it was really up. He's like, he's going
okay.
to see what Massey's got going on that plantation down there.
Right on.
Going to see all that. What is it? The solar panels and things
Mm-hmm.
for his 100% off-grid farm.
Hey man,
If
you can
only.
do it, then do it.
I'd love to go see him.
I feel like he's the only guy like that gave us the promise of an actual like legit libertarian in Congress
Mm-hmm.
that actually has lived up to the task.
Yeah.
Like Rand Paul's fallen real short. Justin Amash has fallen real short in a lot of ways. Thomas Massey's the only one I'm like, yeah, that dude gets it and continues to get it.
I wonder if
I had a lot of. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I wonder if that is because he can just like go to his off-grid compound and forget the whole place exists.
Yeah, I genuinely think he does not give a shit.
occasionally.
Because the minute he gets voted out, he's just going to go back and disappear into the woods.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's what geniuses do. Disappear into the woods. Are you a genius, Silas?
I don't think so.
Well, I am.
I feel like that's something that you have to test
Okay.
with papers and stuff like that.
I feel like you have to at least have it conferred upon you by others.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Look, Kanye West thinks you're all wrong.
Well, Kanye West is Kanye West.
Kanye West has said it's something you just will into being by being Kanye West.
This is true. You may be talented, but you're not Kanye West. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm also kind of curious, where in the hell does your name come from? 'Cause your name kind of, I'm going to be honest, when you said you wanted to do this, I was kind of like, I don't think this is even a real person, Liz.
Silas?
I'm pretty sure
Silas is a Bible name. I know
I'm
a ton
pretty
of Silas.
sure
Yeah.
that this whole thing is just a Fed trying to get information on us. Either that or a bill collector. I was going to say, and if I got on the phone and he started asking me for like information to like collect a debt, I was gonna give him mad props and keep him online as long as possible.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because it was gonna like, man, that's some genius debt collection strategy there.
Well, Liz was right.
It's not so much the first name even that gets me. It's the whole name is a whole bunch of weird words.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So Silas is biblical,
Okay.
and Bosh is just German, man. So
There you go.
Yeah, but doesn't
my
it
middle
have like
name.
a bunch of extra letters in it if it's German?
We dropped the C when we crossed the border.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it was the middle thing that really catches me off guard.
Yeah. So my middle name Marcum is from the other half of my family, the Kentucky Moonshine Holler half of the family.
Okay. Right on.
So
I get it. The whole ANCAP thing makes sense now. Like that comes to you honestly.
Yeah.
We got
I
shiners
don't like
in
the
the
government
family.
very much.
Like that's baked into the blood now.
Yeah.
Years of running from from the feds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just a traditional English middle name or last name, sorry, that got bestowed upon me as a middle name. So
Nice.
That is actually incredibly interesting.
I like the origin.
But let me tell you, I've got a story for you though.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Go
About
for
my
the
name. So my dad's name is Shad with an S instead of a C. So his name is Shad Bosh, and my name is Silas Markham Bosh. And let me tell you, when you're at the airport and you're going through TSA, that sounds pretty Middle Eastern.
Oh,
And
no.
so I can promise you that I always get the TSA pat down when I'm going through the airport. Every time.
That sounds awful.
Hey, how's it going? Nikki P here. Want to support the show or just give a big middle finger to Patreon? Consider stopping over to supportSLL.com. Members of the Freedom Choir get access to the private Facebook group and actual physical merch. Want access to the unedited raw interviews as they're recorded way before they're released? It's in there. Is that not enough? And you want membership to Freedom Song 365? It's in there. There's even monthly bonus swag for top tier supporters. So head on over to supportsll.com. Help Liz and I get to libertarian functions and even just cover the costs of making the show. If I'm not a good enough salesman, how about this?
Support my mom and dad and Sounds Like Liberty. Go to supportsll.com.
You heard her, folks. Join the Freedom Choir at supportsll.com.
I don't regularly fly, so I wouldn't know anything about that. And generally, if I am flying, I've had a lot of
He has to be doped up like Dr. House.
yeah, I've had a lot of pills to get me through that experience.
Right.
So, fear of heights and all that fucks with your brain.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
I have a fear of heights so bad that I'm afraid of water.
Interesting.
Yeah, you go out
As in, like,
you go out on a boat, you're still high above dry ground. Doesn't matter if the fluid between me and ground is water or air to me. It's all bullshit.
interesting.
And by the way, what's even more ridiculous is I'm a good swimmer. On top of that, I'm buoyant as hell these days. I'm not dropping. I'm just going to be a little lump up at the top. But nope.
So do swimming pools scare you?
Not really.
It's just like natural bodies of water?
Well, it's about the depth. The higher up I am, it's like a 200-foot to the bottom lake is going to be scarier than, say, a 15-foot pool.
That's fair.
Mostly because, a way I would probably explain it is it's probably like the viscosity of the fluid stretches out the rate at which height bothers me.
Gotcha.
So 20 feet in the air is probably about the same fear as 200 feet in water.
Gotcha.
And 1,000 feet in air, it'd probably be just an infinite amount of water. But regardless, it's a good way to explain how you're afraid of water.
I suppose.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It makes your irrational fear sound far more intelligent.
Yeah, plus Loch Ness monsters and shit.
Yeah, you managed to get viscosity in there. That sounds
right?
really smart.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, well, I was asking because I actually am very smart, yeah. I'll brag about it. I'll be an arrogant prick. I've taken the tests.
So are you a music listener person?
Yeah, sure. I'm big into funk, rock,
Nice.
70s hippie music.
What kind of funk? What's funk these days?
Well, I mean, I'll listen to the oldies and the goodies. Right now, I've been on this huge Thundercat thing. I don't know if you guys heard of him. He's kind of like a soul R&B kind of guy, modern.
I was saying, I know him. I haven't listened to him in a while.
Yeah, listen to Them Changes. That's a real good one.
That sounds familiar.
Nice. I'll have to look it up. That sounds fun.
She's not going to look it up.
I always look it up.
She's just going to find the link, put it in the notes, and then that's going to be the end of it.
Well, no, and that's when I look it up because I throw it in YouTube and I'll just let it play. And Irma's like, what's this?
Yeah.
I like this. Or she'll be sitting next to me like, can we just listen to Mother again, please.
Is the funk thing because you're a bass player?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a big part of it. It's jazz, which I like, plus a lot of bass. So,
okay. You a big Wolfpack kind of guy?
Ooh, yeah.
Good
Good stuff.
Was it Corey Wong released an album not terribly long ago. It was fantastic. I think did he just release another album recently, Liz?
He may have.
I think he did just release another album. He's the guitar player from Wolfpack.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I describe his like actual music is like 90s sitcom meets Wolfpack. It's definitely interesting.
It just sounds fun.
So I'm trying to think of how to phrase the question. Are there any like musicians that you look up to that you feel like really nailed their craft? Particularly in bass. You're not one of those boring ass bass players like, oh, I love Flea. He's the greatest bass player of all time. He's so good.
The only thing Flea was genuinely good at is slap,
and he overused it.
And that's yeah. Yep. I'm a big Primus guy.
Okay.
So I really like me some Les Claypool.
What's your favorite Primus album?
Album? I don't know. I could tell you.
He's like,
song-wise,
they all existed before I was born, bro. Seriously.
Well, yeah, none of the kids listen to albums anymore.
What the fuck's an album? It's old people shit.
I don't know. Maybe The Sea of Cheese. It's a good album.
Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Yeah.
Interesting. It has a very good album. It's got a... I always was actually just geeking out about it the other day. That my favorite bass player, I don't know that anyone would ever qualify as being like a favorite bass player. It's I can't remember his name. I think Darren Jesse's the drummer, but the bass player from Ben Folds 5 essentially. And for me, it was always that I felt like his sensibilities were perfect. Like he never does too much, never does too little, just always what the song requires. And to me, that's the real mark of a great bass player, is just knowing exactly what needs done and when. I think bass players have a tendency to overplay. As someone who plays bass, by the way, I will say that there's always that vibe to add like fills every other quarter measure and just fucking noodle around. And I don't think a lot of times that's necessary. Sometimes just that, I mean, and that's one of the things I do like about funk is that like they were never shy about just dropping to the E and just letting it ride. So that's why I like the dude from Ben Folds 5. Great bass player.
Yeah.
There's
a difference.
Is there an equivalent for like French horn players? Like, is there people that you can look up to in that, or is it just kind of?
The only one that comes to mind right now, at least from modern stuff, is Robert Brain. He's more or less recognized as like the current living god of horn. So
okay, I'm curious. I'm curious, like what the standard is for that, because I've never really thought much about the performance of French horn.
Well,
like,
I mean,
what's the litmus? I guess would be the question.
That's a big word.
It's actually not. It's I believe 6 letters.
I don't know. I mean, you gotta play in the symphonies. You gotta travel the world. You gotta play with Berlin. You gotta play with New York.
Well, I think that's why it's so weird to me to imagine, because like I don't think of soloist French horn players. Like I just imagine it as such an ensemble instrument that I don't think of like what would a virtuoso player sound like. Like I would assume they'd sound like everybody else.
There's a huge repertoire of horn concertos type materials. Yeah, there's tons of solo horn. In fact, I would even say in a classical ensemble, you're going to find a lot more horn solos than you would like, say, trumpet solos or stuff like that.
Interesting.
That is
I
interesting.
mean, yeah, that's definitely not something.
So
I would expect.
what's a good concerto if we really want to hear that horn?
For a horn concerto, for the classics, look at Mozart horn concertos, Richard Strauss if you're looking for a little bit more modern. What's some other good stuff? Jeff Manoukian is modern, and he basically writes like prog rock for horns.
Okay, that sounds
don't confuse
awesome.
don't confuse that with actual prog rock, but like what prog rock would be in a classical setting.
Yeah.
Jeff Manoukian.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. You
guy.
say that, I'm still thinking of what's her name there, Liz? Thick as a brick.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought of Jethro Tull.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
Okay.
Jethro Tull. I mean, yeah, you still sound like you would have been in the Jethro Tull world. They had pamphlets.
Yeah, he writes lots of Manoukian writes lots of atonal stuff, and I'm working on a 13-page concerto from him right now. Actually,
Oh, wow.
It is interesting.
That is really interesting. I'm so excited now. I get to go listen to horn concertos.
Be excited as you want, baby. I'm not going to be doing it with you.
Yeah.
He's like, nope.
It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone.
In my head, I think French horn, and I think William Plotz. William was the agriculture teacher's son in high school.
Huh.
He was also incredibly smart,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart farmer.
They exist.
Was Mr. Future Farmers of America and stuff like that.
If only. We could use more farmers.
Yeah,
Could use more farmers.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know what Willie does these days.
You should look him up. You should be like, you know what? I was talking to a French horn player and I just thought of you.
But he was the only French horn player I think that really sticks out in my head.
Right on.
Shoot him a Facebook friend request.
Yeah, right?
I'm going to be honest. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that did Facebook.
No.
Ah.
He's too hipster for
I
that.
know his mom didn't like me much, so there's that. She was a teacher at the school, though, and most of them had their feelings about me.
Oh,
That's
small
fair.
town America.
I suppose that's one approach to it. I was just a troublemaker. What can I say? And I was a troublemaker, but I was too smart that they couldn't do much about it. Like, this is a problem. Like, when you're an A student and a troublemaker, like, their options are limited because they don't want to fuck up your future and they hope you grow out of it, I guess. I don't know that I ever really did. Probably not. But it does make for an
Hey, if you manage to be an A student and make the teachers' lives miserable, then I think you're doing it right, man.
Right?
I joke about it all the time on here. I've got my own section of the school handbook because I did things that they had no history of knowing how to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly selling homework.
It's like the libertarian thing, right? You find a market, or the ANCAP
found
thing,
found a way to make money.
You found a market.
Yeah, you've got to find a way to monetize it.
Right.
Exactly. And boy, did I ever.
Ah, jeez.
And I undercut everybody else's rates, kept competition fierce. And
So
but here's the beauty. The beauty of it is, and this is half the reason that they couldn't do much about it, because I wasn't even doing it for classes I'd ever taken. Like, I do homework for people in classes I have no history in. Like, I don't know anything about this, but let's go figure it out. It can't be that hard. And so I was getting good grades in classes I'd never taken, and that was half the problem. When they eventually discovered me, it was because there's no way that the kid knew the class that he was taking as well as I knew the class that he was taking. Essentially his grades were too good on the homework I did that it stuck out. And I'd never taken the class.
that's almost reverse psychology on the teacher's part, because then they're actually teaching you way more.
She fucking hated me. My exclusion from National Honor Society is 100% that teacher.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the same teacher that like when I took my Regents and like got a 98 on it, I think. And she's like, "Well, Mr. Picone, how do you feel about that?" And I'm like, "Well, I probably could have done better. It would have been nice to get that solid 100." And she was so angry. Mostly because all I did in her class, the one that I did take with her, was sleep. Lots of sleeping. There's so much Nick drool on that desk. It's not even fucking funny. I'd walk in, I'd lay down, and I'd just take a nap. I think I failed the class through most of the year. I don't think I failed it because my parents would have been pissed about that. Like, I think it was like low 70s maybe. But she got it. I got my one-uppance and it was all said and done. I'm kind of curious. So, what are your ambitions? What do you want to do, man? You going to be a professional musician, or?
Well, so
into the tech sector with the old man.
That's the question. I really don't want to just join some symphony somewhere and play French horn for him.
Okay.
I have much more wild ambitions. I really would like to create my own. I would like to create what would essentially be ELO of the modern era.
We'd love that to happen. I'll just settle for ELO coming and touring around here more often.
So I'd like to really create an ensemble like that, where we do modern style music. Well, not in the sense of like crappy like 4-chord rock, but like something new and interesting and engaging with that old rock orchestra style.
There is a band that's coming to mind, and I can't fucking. I think of their name. Oh, Starlight Mints. Have you ever heard of them?
No, I haven't.
They are essentially the indie alternative version of a chamber orchestra. Lots of strings and things like that. But like they're also definitively like an indie rock band. Distorted guitars and stuff at times. But like you also have your your string arrangements. Dun 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 dun. They make for a very interesting listen. I think the song Black Cat is the one that I'm most familiar with. That was what got me started listening to them.
I'm writing that down in my notes right now.
And then you run into the more orchestral groups now, like Foxy Shazam and stuff like that. But they're more, trumpet and keys than anything else. Essentially, they're going for more of like a Queen kind of thing.
Yeah.
It would be awesome to get somebody to get more of like an ELO vibe. I wonder what that would sound like in modern music.
I just really love that the nostalgic feeling that kind of era music can really bring back.
And you didn't even live when it was like first around, bro. I didn't live when it was first around. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know that my dad lived when that shit was first around. He might have just been a little too young still. Maybe not. I don't know. That would have been late 70s. So he was probably a teenager by then.
Yeah, they were like what, something like 65 to 80 something, or the other was when they were really doing stuff, I think.
I think it would be. I would almost want to say 87 was, I think, their last big like original album.
Yeah.
Personally, I like Jeff Lynne and whatever he does. You know, he did a lot of work with George Harrison, Tom Petty. I mean, basically all of the Traveling Wilburys guys. Which is almost my favorite contribution that Jeff Lynne had. Like, even more than ELO, I really like the Traveling Wilburys stuff.
Traveling Wilburys, yeah.
Because I mean, how do you manage to get that many A-listers in one band and kind of make it, work? It's like you've got Tom Petty and Roy Orbison switching parts off in songs, and like that's damn sweet. So
yeah, it's hard to beat.
What kind of instrumentation are you looking at for this project?
Probably a small brass ensemble, and a small string ensemble, and probably like a 7-piece rock band.
Okay.
And I don't know if I would be physically able to do it myself, but I would probably actually like compose pieces, put it on paper, and have improvised sections and whatnot, but still kind of follow the papers a little bit more just for the sake of.
Well, and that's something I'm actually kind of curious about, because I know between rock musicians and jazz musicians, there is definitely a stark contrast between the improvisational skills from one type of music to another. And the few classical trained musicians I have known, oh God, sorry, it's cold, it's killing me. The few classically trained musicians I have known have definitely not been the best at improvisation. So I'm kind of curious what your experience with that is.
I would agree. I think rock and jazz musicians have it nailed down way more, mostly because those are the kinds of music where improvisation is a lot more common and utilized in comparison to classical style music. So I'd like to, in my ensemble, I'd really like to try to get a well-rounded group that's composed of many different areas of musicians to really try to create something where we can use all of it.
Well, I know from my perspective, we had I'm in a band called Puma Thurman, and all the members of that band have another band that they do called what is it? The Cellar Door. And they're essentially, the Cellar Door is, they don't have me in the band, they have a violin player instead. And it was definitely interesting going through like the recording process, because they just come down here and play their parts, but they had to go and actually write out all the sheet music for him. Or essentially, they didn't write it for him. They played all the parts for him on guitar until he had written it out himself. It manually write out all the sections, which is funny in its own right. But it was weird. When you're used to recording with just a bunch of Joes and they're down here and they're just playing their songs, and this dude shows up with sheet music and a violin, and you're like, oh, this is different. Mm-hmm. Am I allowed to bust your balls like everybody else? You're going to be hoity-toity?
See, that's what I love, because you have such just like different backgrounds of like the prim and properness of classical style music, and you've got the jazz guys that are usually high and they have no idea what's going on around them, and then you've got the rock guys that are like twitching out because they need to get their next dose of whatever, and like
you spend your time around a lot of musicians doing drugs.
I live on a liberal arts campus,
I guess. Well, and I guess that would be the other thing, because I'm curious, within like an orchestra, is there like a delineation? Because I'd imagine that you have a cross section of like your uber lefties, but I'd also imagine that you probably have some fairly conservative people in that group too. Do you find
for sure. I mean, like I said earlier, on this campus, it's predominantly left. But you do have, a couple people here and there that are conservative, but they're very quiet about it, because here on campus, if you're anything but like the what the hive mind of liberalism says is okay, you'll get in some serious trouble if you don't if you speak out about that.
Well, I'm going to speak out about you, Liz.
Uh-oh. Not again.
I'll speak out about you all I want, all the time. Right on. Well, I think we're reaching about that time where if I go too much longer, I'm going to have to start editing, and I hate editing, so. I hate editing for time, especially. Like, what are the fun parts of this conversation do I have to cut out? It's terrible. But it has been a lot of fun having you on, boss. Is there anything that you do want to plug while we got you on, or just kind of, you're good?
Man, I've got nothing right now, but thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
No, thanks for coming on. It was definitely a different conversation than I think we're used to having, but it was not an unenjoyable one.
Delightful.
Yeah, I hope I gave you something interesting.
No, I mean, I clearly had enough questions about shit, so.
I think that's the awesome thing, though. Like, just average Joe libertarian, if there is such a thing, is a really interesting person.
Well, I mean, certainly to me, for me, this show has always been about the community and about people, like, learning about how other people are. Because I think that the one thing that libertarians fail at is kind of keeping people as part of a community. Because a community is bigger than politics. Like, the politics is how, well, it's like I would choose to be around these people because we organize this way, but we need to find out if we're cool, right? So it's like, who's going to listen to the best music in Ancapistan is how I'm trying to judge everyone. And yeah, it sounds like you're going to have some pretty cool music wherever you are in Ancapistan, bud.
Yeah, I hope it works out for myself.
Wherever your rock and roll chamber orchestra is. So, well, you take it easy, Silas. You have yourself a good Sunday.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Now, see, I told you that was going to be fun, Liz.
Really interesting guy.
I told them all that it was going to be fun, and they didn't believe me.
Well,
the joke's on them.
I guess.
The joke's always on them if they're listening to the show.
I just like to think of it as a pleasant surprise.
I'm pleasantly surprised every time that I see that there's people still listening.
That is kind of a delightful surprise to me too sometimes.
I think about all the time I waste on this shit, and I'm like, you know.
We're not in it for the money, let's say that. Well, the community
We're
is
not?
cool. Well,
I'm
we're
in it
not
for the money.
Are
I'm
you?
not making any yet, so I'm doing a shitty job of making it, but you know,
Okay.
ultimately, we're all in it for the money, aren't we?
Well, we're in it for prosperity or
you
wealth,
think I have-
building wealth.
You think I have all these libertarian podcasts because I fucking care about liberty and other libertarian podcasters? Yeah, right.
Yeah, that cheesy
Here,
look
allow
on
me
your
to do
face.
allow me to do this uncompensated ad read for another podcast right now. Who do we want to pitch today? I like showing the love. Seriously though.
I mean, we could talk about the Make Liberty Great Again network. That's been coming up a lot lately.
It has been coming up a lot again. Go listen to Make Liberty Great Again. So yeah, it's a great podcast network based off of the Make Liberty Great Again podcast with Mr. Cam Harless. And if I were you, I would go over there and Tell them that I'm coming for the voluntary vixens.
You're just not going to let that slide, are you?
Liz, I have a libertarian hippie network.
I know.
And they have a sage-burning yoga person.
I know.
That's mine.
I just want us all to get
I declare
along.
ownership by virtue of my great idea.
I'm just saying, I just want us all to get along. And I think that shouldn't be difficult because we're all about the liberty, right?
Liz, you're married to me. You know getting along with me is impossible.
I know. And I have nothing to throw at you right now, so...
This is going to be a long-running joke, just so we're clear.
Right. I've come to that conclusion. But yeah, and stay tuned for...
we actually had a great interview last night with the Lesbertarian.
Yeah, for our interview with the Lesbertarian of the Lesbertarian podcast on the Make Liberty Great Again network. I'm so excited to see like the community expanding. Like I'm finding more people I want to talk to.
My list of libertarian podcasts for This Week in Liberty gets huger every day.
Yeah.
A big shout out to the Lions of Liberty for, allowing me to give them money to read ads.
Yeah, and Mr. Mark Claire for reading that ridiculous ad that you came up with.
God, it was so funny though. I can't wait to hear it again this week, hopefully. Just gonna him uncomfortably talking about
I mean, for what it's
unicorns.
worth, Mark, if you ever listen to this, I don't mind. It's okay. I live with him. I get it.
Yeah, I don't think he was caring about you. I think he's caring about all the other people that might listen.
Oh, right. The people who are not actually unicorns.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm not concerned about black people judging people. It's all the white people that judge for the black people. That's how social justice works.
That's such a special condescending.
They don't care how you feel about it. They'll just say that you're buying into your own oppression.
Right.
God.
You're colonized or whatever.
Yeah, apparently I colonized.
Oy. Anyways
is right.
Yep.
That has been your episode 70 of the Sounds Like Liberty podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Go and have a good one. High five some people for us. Slap them on their butts.
I think the high five's probably a safer bet. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but live dangerously.